Well, for those who've been following my travails and sojourns, I have just come back from Whiskey Life Paris, and I must admit that it really was an incredibly educational experience. And for all those who like to try rums and like a shit ton of whiskeys, then certainly that's a place that you need to go to sooner or later. I had a really great time there, although there was so much there with so many people who were interested that sometimes just getting to the front of the line or the booth where I wanted to actually sample something and take tasting notes and everything else proved to be a real problem. Not the least of which is because the very best stuff, the new releases of the current year that are going to be on the shelves in another few months, is all in the VIP section. Now, I usually pay for the VIP section anyway because I think I should support these organizations when they make their thing. But it does make it very crowded to have all this stuff in one place because in this one VIP area, you had whiskeys, you had rums, you had shochus, you had Clarence, you had Hampton Velier. I mean, just so much there. And of course, everybody has the same idea you have. Now, in any rum festival or any festival of spirits whatsoever, there's always going to be a couple that you hear about through the scuttlebutt and people tell you about it or you read about it somewhere and somebody talks about it. And the next thing you know, you try to find this damn thing. And it really is a bit of a problem because everybody else has the same idea you do. And by the time you get there, you probably don't get it because the bottle is finished. A good example of that is the Hampton Maverick, which was named after Christelle's boy who was just born. And there was one bottle for each day of the festival that was available. So if you didn't get there early, you weren't going to get any of it, right? So that gives you an example of what was going on. However, today, what I want to talk about is an obscure rum from La Maison Velier, which was La Maison du Whiskey's part of their foundation series, which they every year they give their rum selections a new name. In this instance, it was Foundations, but it was part of the Flags series of Velier's releases. Now, all that really means is that the design on the label has the stylized, almost abstract flag of the country of origin, which is really quite sweet because if it's one thing you have to say about Velier, they sure know how to do their presentation and it's always eye-catching, whether it's the Warren Kong series, the original Demerara series, the photographs of the Coronis, and so on. It's always something eye-catching. It's always something quite original, and in this case, it really is. That said, what have we got here today? Well, unfortunately, all I got is the photograph here that I took myself of the bottle. Now, this is from Vietnam. They never actually tell you which distillery it's from, and I'll get to that in a second. The information that is on the label tells you that it's 56.9%. It is made from cane juice. It is made in Quang Nam province, or area, as they say, but it's the province of Vietnam. And it was both in ex-bourbon and cognac cask aged for 6 years. So it came off the still in 2018, and then it was bottled in 2024, just in time for this particular event. 193 bottles is not a whole lot. The catalog online for La Maison says it's 400 and something bottles, but I think 193 may actually be closer to the truth, especially given tropical aging and so on. But having said all of the above, I'm looking for rums from Asia because I want to draw attention to them. This is one reason I'm focusing on India to some extent. Of course, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Indonesia, the Pacific Islands, and so on. They all interest me intensely. And Vietnam, you don't really see very much of, especially since it's cane juice. And that's always interesting in and of itself. And having been aged 6 years, we expect to see something quite interesting here, right? Yes, we do. We absolutely do. So the agricole style of it comes through really clearly here. It is absolutely has that vegetal cane juice sap, the white fruits, the almonds, the white chocolates, and so on. It has that light, crisp agricole nose to it, and that is absolutely perfect. The taste is a little bit different. I think the taste is really quite spectacular in and of itself. It channels a lot of what you got on the nose to begin with, which is to say that you get the white fruits again, you get a lot of florals, you get the white chocolates, you get that sap. You also get a bit of breakfast spices as well as a little bit of vanilla, cinnamon, uh, allspice, that kind of sweet cloves and cardamom flavor to it. Not a whole lot. It's kind of recedes into the background and it really isn't bad at all. The danger of something like that, and I hesitate to use the word danger, perhaps that may be too strong, but certainly an unexpected side effect of that is that some of the original terroir starts to get lost. And what that means is that if you want to taste Vietnam, you're probably better off trying to go for one of the little companies, whites, from any of the companies that make rum down there, because then you really are getting what is coming through from the terroir there in a way that a cask is going to help mask after a few years, even as little as 6. But I mean, this is tropical aging we're talking about here. So in that sense, it is a really good rum in and of itself. We should be grateful for it, as far as I'm concerned, because it's definitely not a slouch. It's original in and of itself, by itself, and I like that a lot. It deserves to be sampled. I wish there was more of it, to be quite honest with you, because we don't get to see very much of that. Which leads me to the final point of this quick essay, and that is, where is it from? Well, they never actually say. I spent a couple of hours just trolling through every piece of information I had, and I couldn't get a hold of anybody, it being Saturday and all. But my take is that La Maison Velier would not waste their time on some small fly-by-night operation. And that means that this excludes, let's say, Bellamy, which is too small, Mia, which also makes rums in Vietnam, but they're in Ho Chi Minh City and they have a different kind of still. And L'Aranger, which is the only other one I've ever tried, is too involved in fruit infusions and artistic experiments of that nature to really interest this kind of thing. This really is a pure rum, right? Which just leaves one possible alternative, and that's Sampan. And I really do believe this is it. Sampan is a rum that I have reviewed only one of before. It was a white. I scored that one 84 points, and I thought that was a really good essay in the craft, which was only going to get better as time goes on. Now, I never did try anything else from them in the years that followed. This was about 3 or 4 years back. But if this is Sampan, and I do believe it is, then they've certainly gone from strength to strength. And the fact that they've managed to go a little bit further and export some of their stuff for other independent bottlers like La Maison Velier to try, I think speaks well for their future. So over all of that, I think that if you can snag a bottle, it's worth a try for originality. It's worth a try for taste. It's worth a try because very few people are ever going to get a chance to try it. And it is a nice rum. I mean, I really enjoyed this one. An aged Ivory Coal of about 6 years may just be the perfect sweet spot, and this one proves the point. It isn't the most original rum I tried in the Whiskey Live, nor is it the best out of Asia, but I'm going to save that for the next one. Because I did find one that same day at the very last hour, at the very last minute almost, and it was the very last rum I tried, and I think that one was the best. This one's close to it, but isn't quite there. I'll talk to you again about the next one. Until the next time, take care of yourselves, everybody, and have a good time and a good weekend. Bye-bye.